My advice to those looking to study law or studying at Swinburne currently is don't be afraid of technology. Hi, my name is Harrison Douveas and I studied a Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Computer Science with a major in cybersecurity at Swinburne University, and I currently work as the lead consultant in the digital division here at Blue Rock. So my current role at Blue Rock as a lead consultant mainly focuses on digital advisory and digital strategy. That normally involves working directly with clients to understand and really assess their tech stack and technical architecture, and really make some key assessments and give key pieces of advice when it comes to how they should be moving into both the near and far term. I've always loved problem solving, and both law and computer science are two very distinct areas that are problem-solving focused. The way in which you go about it is obviously a little bit different and requires a little bit of left brain, right brain thinking when it comes to switching between the two. But I think a lot of the skills that equip you really well for computer science, being very technical, analytical, detail-oriented, can be really, really helpful when it comes to the legal sphere, and vice versa. Lots of legal skills, stakeholder management, negotiation, etc. are very, very important, particularly when it comes to digital advisory and strategy. How are the commercials of an agreement going to work when you implement a system? How are you going to manage the stakeholders who might be rushing to get something implemented even though the system or its configuration state might not necessarily be ready? I think the ability to do both through a subject such as legal technology at Swinburne University is a really, really interesting intersection of the two schools of thought. Traditionally, you wouldn't think that the two would actually go hand in hand, but they work a lot more than you might initially expect, and it's really interesting to see how complementary that is, particularly in an ever-changing world at this point in time. One of the things that really cemented Swinburne as a place for law and technology was the opportunity to participate in the first ANU Legal Hackathon with Jules, Nicola, Nick and Mitchell as our sort of team leader, and we actually managed to place first as well after presenting our rent dispute resolution platform, Settle. That was really fun. That was over the weekend during COVID. That was a very late night trying to get that all sorted, but that really cemented that team and community spirit that Swinburne is very much known for and is very much felt across both the law and computer science faculties. And I think that also really made a lot of other institutions sit up and take notice, particularly in the law space, when they saw, we actually managed to build an entire wireframe application in a weekend, whereas other universities presented PowerPoints with dot points on slides. It was very, very cool to see, and I think very, very important more broadly from an institutional perspective. I've seen a lot of change in the law school. For the better, I'd like to clarify. I think really honing in on what sets Swinburne apart, particularly it being at University of Technology, particularly that practical placement focused component. I think really focusing on actually giving real world experience, practical advice and practical learnings to students has been where Swinburne has shone, and I think that's putting students in really good stead for their careers. My advice to those looking to study law or studying at Swinburne currently is don't be afraid of technology. I actually did a dissertation with Mitchell Adams talking about the difference between digital transformation and just digitizing for law firms, and it's really, really important and really, really something that employers are looking for nowadays is that more technical focused mindset, and is that aptitude when it comes to, I know how this platform works, I know what a good piece of technology looks like as opposed to a bad piece of technology. And I think being open-minded and innovative when it comes to technology in your practice is really, really important. My first experience out of law school was in a migration law firm, and really seeing, some of the situations that our clients were in and really being able to help them in a very meaningful, tangible way was very, very impactful and really made me understand what it meant to work in law and be a lawyer, all the way through to people who I work with day to day currently, being able to sit down and talk to somebody in your seat next to you at work as if they're one of your best mates is always a pleasure. And I think those highlights are really what make it and make all of this worthwhile. The people and the things that you work on. One of my proudest achievements is Ask Dwayne, which for those of you that don't know, Blue Rock is named after the Carlton Blues and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That is true. Hence, we have our own internal ChatGPT tool called Ask Dwayne, which I am the product lead for. So right from its inception, when ChatGPT 3 dropped onto the scene, and almost 2 years ago now, all the way through to the present day, we've been working on an internal version that's safe and secure within our own Azure environment, which we've been constantly tweaking for our advisors so that they use it in their day-to-day work. Now I can go in and see exactly who's using it, walking around the office, seeing Ask Dwayne on screens all around the place and being able to see tangible benefits of it saving people, 30 minutes in one go is really, really impactful. We even run weekly AI dojo sessions, which we get everyone in a big room at 8:30 a.m. in the morning on a Tuesday, and more than 100 people sit in and sort of listen to tips, tricks, up and coming AI developments, and really trying to embed such a new way of working into 350 to 400 person business has been really, really fun and really, really meaningful to me. The other thing that I want to give advice on again is don't give up. There's always a pathway. There's always something. If you're wanting to study law, or if you're currently studying and you're not sure if you don't want to be a lawyer, that's perfectly fine. I'm an admitted lawyer and I'm non-practicing. I work in digital advisory and I really, really enjoy what I do, and I'm really glad that I did my law degree because it provided me with the skills that I really needed to make the most of stakeholder management, negotiation, and giving advice in an empathetic, considered and reasoned manner, which is exactly what the Swinburne Law School will prepare you for. It's really important that, after law school, there is more than just being a lawyer, and I think being able to talk to people, network, and build upon your experiences with other people is really important to seeing, exactly where you want to place yourself. I've experienced that even recently in my role as a lead consultant, meeting people who do paid media management for influencers and YouTubers, all the way through to, people who run organic butcheries, which focus very heavily on their tech stack. There's lots of different pathways and different areas which you can specialise in, and niche knowledge is very much power. There will always be an option, there will always be a path, even if it isn't your first choice, even if it isn't something that you'd originally thought of or planned for. I think being able to be adaptable to change and being able to just try, figure out what doesn't work or what you might need to improve on to try again is really, really key. Whether that's applying for jobs, whether that's figuring out what you want to do, whether that's giving advice to clients, being able to critically analyze what did work, what didn't work, and then trying again with this newfound knowledge that you have is really, really important to continuously improving yourself and continuously improving how you navigate through your life and your career pathway.